afternoon, everyone. Hey, it's great to be here. My name is Brett Palmer. I'm a software developer like many of you. And I just turned 52 this year. So many of you probably, when you did your votes, go, wow, 52, that guy's pretty old. Hope he makes it to the presentation. So I made it. I've got my Fitbit on and heart rate's good and I'm doing all right. But my motivation in giving this talk was to help others of my generation and younger generations realize it's never too late to do a startup. Now is a great time in the world today to do startups. Technology is great. And I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. So so that's my main motivation. I'll quickly go through this, describe kind of my entrepreneur path, give it a little bit of history because just some of the younger people understanding where we came from. It's much easier today to do a startup than it was early in my career. Then present my MVP and why experienced professionals like myself should self-fund instead of go a traditional route, and then my conclusions. Like I mentioned, entrepreneurship has been in my blood. I have to give a story about my grandfather who grew up in the Great Depression, raised 6 kids with his wife during World War II, worked volunteer in the city council and his church, and managed Wonder Bread for 30 years. But his whole life, his goal was to someday work for himself. That's what he wanted to do. And when he retired from Wonder Bread at 60 years old, he took all his life savings and built a new motel in Salt Lake City. Now, probably for someone coming from the Great Depression, that seems really high risk. But that's what he wanted to do. And he built that motel. He and his wife, the kids were all gone at that point. He and his wife lived in that hotel for the first few years because he couldn't afford a house. But he worked at that hotel. I remember as a boy going there and helping him clean the swimming pool out. He loved that work, and that inspired me all my life. And it worked out. In the 80s, investors came in and they built a big convention center and bought his property, and everyone was pretty happy. So in that case, it worked out pretty well. But why wait till 61 to do that? And why risk all your retirement to do that? So some of my background, to give you a little history of startups. In the 90s, at least from my perspective, the way you did a startup is you went to a good university, you got into the best MBA school you could go to, you'd work 20 years in the industry, launch your startup with VC funding, and hope for the best. So that's how I started my journey. Came back, went to study electrical engineering, worked 7 years at Novell, if you remember that software company, great company for me. Got a master's in computer science, finished my MBA. I was all set to do a startup. And this is right when the dot-com boom was just going in the 2000s. So we did a startup. I was, the chief architect, had lots of money, like a lot of the startups. But this is before lean startup principles were really understood. And the founders had an idea on this app. And this app was going to be a personal finance app. Everyone was going to love it. But as we got building the app, you realize this app was really for the founders. No one else really wanted it. And I found myself building an app no one wanted, which is really discouraging for a developer. So after 6 years, I finally left. And one tip, you don't have product market fit if your own employees won't use your app. So round 2, I did a partnership. Partnerships are good. I wanted equity because options in the previous one didn't seem to work out that well. So I did an online app with some partners, a technical partnership. We built this app for online testing. We put it in the cloud and did assessment testing 9th through 12th grade. Equity partner to this day. Really pretty good, but a minor partner, not a majority partner. And there are some problems with partnerships. And some of you that might be looking at doing a startup and having some co-founders, here's some tips to think about. First of all, every partner considers their own contribution the highest. So I've heard a few talks about some that are working full-time and some are working part-time. What are you going to do? You need to make sure everything is in writing and you know exactly how that's going to work out because everyone's going to have a different idea of what's most important. And the problem with is if you don't do that, determine how that equity partnership's going to work out, there can be some really bad feelings, and breakups can be really difficult. So my third round, software consultant. I've been doing this for the last 10 years. Really like working for myself as a service provider, doing government work and small business work in open source software. Enjoyed that a lot. Working on a cloud and mobile platforms. But really, the problem with service-oriented business and consulting is you're trading your time for money. And I really wanted to have my own product, build my own SaaS company that I could grow and support my family way into the future. So my fourth round, where I'm at today, the last few years, I've been working on this software product. And really, like many of you, it's a problem that I wanted to solve myself. So I have 4 children, 3 daughters and 1 son, and all of my children do sports and all very unique, and they do things different than I did. So none of them play football and basketball like I did. They ski, ride horses, all kinds of things. And I found myself trying to coach them and being a good father and not knowing really what to do. And also really wanting to work with their coaches and help them better communicate with parents, especially like I have a daughter and son that are ski racers, and getting to events and knowing when practice is and not knowing how those events really work is really frustrating. And you'll love the coaches because they're great coaches, but maybe they don't communicate very well. So I built this app to do that very thing. And here's some of the technologies I use. I use the Ionic framework, which is built is a web technology framework, a hybrid framework to build Android and iOS apps. Cloud computing with Firebase and Google and AWS storage and S3. And then I used WordPress and Docker containers. So I have some screenshots, but I'll just more talk about some of the ideas because I'm still trying to refine where I want to go with this platform. But the idea is that teachers or mentors or coaches need to be a better way to communicate with their athletes or students. So create a website with mobile access that can push that information to the students. And one of the easy things with this is, as one of the users, maybe it's a fitness coach, and you're studying, you're improving your fitness, and then you move, or you want a different coach. Well, you take that data with you, and it creates this kind of viral marketing of, hey, I had this app, it's worked really well with this coach. Would you like to use this this coaching app? And then introduce some friendly competition. All of us that have Fitbits or such, you find that you're working on your steps, you're working on your heart rate to compete with other people in your office, and just a little bit of gamification makes the application so much more enjoyable. And the other nice thing with the mobile platform is you have this great platform that you can share. So you have access to the social media, the users, that they can say, hey, students can report their successes. And of course, parents love that, teachers love that. It's a great way to create this kind of viral marketing in the app. So those are some of my ideas. So some of the challenges when you're self-funding your application. Of course, you got to maintain your cash flow, as many of the speakers have already spoken about today. And you need to quickly meet product market fit. And one of the things that I'm still struggling with is narrowing my product niche to really focus on what the application should be doing. So I have this as a technologist, I tend to like satire, and Monty Python's one of my favorites. And as I talk about my app, and this is my 4th attempt, it's Swamp Castle, right? And the king's talking to his son, and he talks about, everyone said it was daft to build a castle in the swamp, but he built it, and he built his first castle, and it sank into the swamp. So he built a second castle, and that also sank into the swamp. And then he built a 3rd castle, and it burned down, fell down, and then sank into the swamp. But the 4th castle stood up. So that's my goal, is my 4th run at a startup, I'm finally going to succeed. So in closing, I just wanted to talk about some of the benefits for, I call myself a Generation Xer, why self-funding is a good idea for us. Self-funding is good because traditional VC funding can be difficult. Accelerators are fantastic, and I wish they'd had those early in my career. But they're often looking for young people that don't have families, don't have mortgages, and they're going to work them to death. Self-funding is also, as many speakers have talked about, it's a low capital risk. You have these constraints. So you're earning money as you go. You don't have to have a lot of investors, and you're proving it out as it goes along. And it's a great way to prepare for retirement. So if you have parents or others that have great ideas, but they're not really sure if they're ready for retirement, a self-funding application is a good way to go. And one of the benefits of people of my generation is we have a wealth of experience to share. And we know there's different problems that maybe younger people aren't faced with, but I'm a parent. I have parents that are growing older, so coming up with new ideas. And lastly, don't fear the technology. You don't need formal training these days. You can attend local meetups and masterminds, learn what you can and outsource the rest. And there's lots of new opportunities out there for retirees. I know I'm kind of running out of time. Follow lean startup principles, which a lot of people talked about today. And then one of my favorite books that came out a few years ago, The World is Flat. With the internet and technology, there's so many opportunities for people today, and now's the time to do it. So I hope everyone, this is my first year at MicroConf. I've really enjoyed the talk so far. If you want to talk to me after, I'd love to talk about technology.